Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Reading for Change, a collective journey. At the moment, I am the only one on the journey, and so I'm waiting to see if I'm going to have any company this evening. Um, let's see. Do I want? Ooh, it looks like I have company. Okay, great. I started that. Close that. All right. Gio,
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Okay. Get that together. Ba, ba, ba. Okay, and we're
All
on.
right. All
Uh,
right. And
how
we
are you?
are live. I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
You don't say that too enthusiastically.
Okay. What's that saying? What is it? Uh, Fake it until you make it. Okay, I'm faking it.
Yep, 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 yep. Well, Venita called me early this morning to say she didn't think she could fake it. And,
Okay.
but by the time we got off the phone, she was saying, "Well, let me see how I feel at 5 o'clock." So she's not
Okay.
here. So I guess it's just those chickens.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but I'm glad you made it so we can keep moving forward with this book. Uh, and uh, I got a call last week, I think, from Nicole.
Oh yeah. How is she?
She's good. She's
Yeah, okay.
good. And so she was trying to find out when we were going to start our next book.
Hmm.
So so I told her I was really trying to find out how to get out of the book group business. But I told her that I used to try to find somebody that I could train to do the technical piece of it. And, you know, I explained how you and Venita were not really candidates.
Ah,
But, that if there were somebody that I could train, that might give me some inspiration to hang around for a while, long enough at least to do that. And
yeah.
so she said she's interested.
Okay. Well, that's good. Oh, that's good.
That's good. It's good. That's good. So I felt a little motivated. I felt a little invigorated by that. And so she said, tell you all hello. And I told her, you'd love to see her. So she is off, I think she said the week of March 11th on spring break. And she said she's going to try to stop by and say hello to you and Venita then.
Okay, that would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah, and this time that we meet, of course, I think 5 o'clock for us, I think it's 4 o'clock for her. So she's still just kind of getting off work and, you know.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, yeah. So
Well,
that,
that's
uh,
good. I'm glad you heard from her.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So, um, so anyway, so here we are, the soldiers that keep keeping on. um, and so let's go ahead and get started because tonight we actually have two chapters to try to cover if we want to, because last week was a break. The week before we canceled. And so I'm picking up on that week before with chapter 13, which was the short little chapter.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
I figured we could touch on that one. If there's anything to say, because it was just kind of a summary or a conclusion, you know, to that section
Yeah.
3. Um, so I'm Logan Michelle Odom, based in Brooklyn, New York, joined tonight by
Georgette Moses coming to you from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yay!
Yay!
All right. So I did write a little summary.
Cool.
So let me share that screen. Invitation and uh, I'll read. I feel like I haven't used my voice all day. I haven't talked
Oh,
to anybody on the phone or anything,
oh. Well,
which
this
is,
is perfect.
well, it's kind of perfect. Yeah, it really is. All right, you can see it.
Yep, can see.
Okay, this week's discussions are inspired by chapters 13 and 14, The Secret of Success and the Discovery of Ignorance. And of course, we are reading Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. Chapter 13, The Secret of Success, brings to conclusion part 3, The Unification of Humankind. Here, Dr. Harari considers why we have the particular kind of global society we have today, a world dominated by monotheistic religions, empires, and money. Every point Every point in history is a crossroads, he wrote, and things didn't have to be this way. The consequences of our choices are easy to see in hindsight and impossible to predict. However, studying history does help us see the range of possibilities and the roads not taken. He finds there is nothing to suggest choices made in history are for the benefit of humans, and notes how some scholars see the cultures we create as akin to mental infections or parasites, where ideas spread even to the detriment of host. Chapter 14, The Discovery of Ignorance, begins our final journey with part 4, The Scientific Revolution. This section of the book explores what modern day Homo sapiens are up to with current science and technologies. Humans have radically altered our way of seeing the world over the last 500 years. Medicine and industry have accomplished feats unimaginable to previous generations and deliver us to a day where serious effort is directed at eliminating death from the human experience. It all began with an acceptance of ignorance. Instead of relying on things like the myths of religion and ideology to explain the natural world, increasing faith in mathematics and the scientific method of knowledge acquisition have given humans new powers over life and death. Science is flexible. It admits ignorance and insists on change as new information becomes available, such as the transition from Newton's laws to the theory of relativity to quantum mechanics. Yet science never enjoys prestige and is not able to set its own agenda, dependent as it is on economic, political, and religious interest. Um, and then there was a photo I wanted to share uh, to start our discussion. This this is something that I saw on Facebook, of course. I wish I could move this. Do you see a green bar at the bottom?
No, I don't.
Okay, so it's just getting on my nerves. It's the share
Oh, yeah.
menu. Yeah, I saw this on Facebook maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a chill. Imagine a world ruled by scientists, not politicians. And so, of course, the first thing you see is this, long list of crusty old white men. And then you get down to the last image is Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I just thought it was interesting. We're in Black History Month, right? And one thing I have to say,
Mm,
I'm proud of Black folks this Black History Month because I always feel like we uphold the same heroes and sheroes decade after decade after decade after decade.
yeah.
And I'm like, is there nobody else that has done anything that we can be proud of? And actually, this year, I got to give it to the young people. They're really sharing a lot of stories about more recent,
Mhm.
accomplished people. And it's nice to see. So I just imagine that it's a white person that put together this collage, and they were probably sitting there scratching their head trying to think of a black person to add to the list. And they're like, oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Well, in this age of AI help assisting, and they're really forcing it down everybody's throat with updates to all
Yes,
your programs you use. If you're
yes.
typing into Chat GPT, I need a list of pictures of all the scientists from, ancient history until today. What is this prejudicial
Right.
AI large
AI.
language model going to spit back out to you except for a bunch of, quote
Right.
unquote Anglo gentlemen, which a lot of these cats are not, but they're hiding, they have to
Right.
be under the umbrella of the white, but they're not really white. Okay, but that's another
Right.
discussion.
Right. Right.
Okay.
No, but I mean, so for whoever put this collage together, I'm sure their point was that scientists would do a much better job of running the world than politicians. But that's not so clear to me. you know,
No, and as a matter of fact, we've had some, well, probably a lot of science fiction stories and
yeah,
movies depicting such a hot dystopia where the scientists, have taking control of the world and our because it's the world will be so much more peaceful if it's just, logical, which
Right,
then might
right,
evolve into robots,
right,
right, right,
right,
managing the earth. And of course we have the Matrix to thank for and the
right.
Terminator to thank for the fear. And so I have to think that this fomenting of fear of technology, although there is a reason to be fearful of it in the wrong hands, but
Yeah,
it's so and I like how it made me think about when he started to discuss how culture is a virus.
yes,
And how that virus continues to control our evolution because it
yeah,
controls how technology will be perceived. And if you keep the perception of technological advances hindered by, religious dogmas, or economic, restraints, or political favoritism, then then certain projects that might be beneficial for the entire populace, for the entire planet, don't get to
yeah,
see the light of day because
right,
those researchers weren't affiliated with the right group in power at the moment.
right,
So
right, right.
mm,
Yeah. Well, you mentioned viruses, so let's go back and look at chapter 13 for a few minutes. Where does it begin? You have
the digital version, yeah. So
the
mine says
digital
307, so I don't know if that matches yours.
chapter 12. Let me see. Uh, I forgot it was such a little chapter. The secret of success for me begins on page 237, and you're
Okay.
on 307.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So you are what, 70, 80 pages?
And and
Uh,
and the number of the page also is determined by the size of my font. And because I'm old with old eyes, I need bigger font.
yeah, yeah. Well, I may do better myself switching to digital versions. I mean, I've been so resistant to it, but uh,
Michelle, fight the good fight. Hang in there for as long as you can. Look, I even have a hand magnifying glass.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
use your
yeah.
tools. You gotta use your tools.
I do well with my when things are on my phone. I'm enlarging all the time. Let's
Mhm.
see. I'm just looking at my little notes. Sometimes I write questions in the
Ah,
margins.
mhm.
Uh, Exotic history, why we study history to see the range of possibilities. No proof that history benefits humans.
That was wild.
Uh,
You might as well have just thrown some dice or some bones on the ground to determine which way to go.
right, right. It
Mm,
certainly doesn't benefit all humans,
mm,
but
mm.
somebody benefits.
Yes.
Uh, yeah. I'm on page 242 in the middle of the hard copy, where he says ever more scholars see cultures as a kind of mental infection or parasite, with humans as its unwitting host. Organic parasites such as viruses live in blah 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 blah. You know what I'm talking about. But
Mhm.
what it made me think about was, I don't know if you've read Harriet Washington's book called Infectious Madness.
No, I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, but but she's looking at that question, and where he's talking about how an increasing number of scholars are starting to make that connection. She's one of them, looking at parasites as responsible for all kind of things that we would consider mental health conditions. Um, you know, yeah.
Mhm.
I know I read the book. I think Venita might have read it with me. Um, we might have read that. Venita, did you
Oh.
read Harriet Washington's Infectious Madness?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was just saying
Mhm.
in chapter 13, where he's talking about how um, scholars are increasingly seeing cultures as a kind of mental infection, uh,
Mm-hmm.
or parasite. I said
Mm-hmm.
that reminded me of what the connections Harriet was trying to make in
Yes.
Infectious Madness. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. You made
I
Yay.
couldn't resist.
it.
I miss my people, and I figured if I sit here and wallow in my own sorrow, it wasn't going to help. If I see my people,
That's right. That's right.
I
Yeah.
feel better.
Well,
That's right.
Gio is faking it till she makes it.
Hey.
Oh,
And
so
I guess I am too, Gio.
what's going on?
I'm just so tired. I'm
Oh,
exhausted mentally and physically. I'm like, I, uh, I don't know what's going on. Too
I
much.
know. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think that's where we're all at. Um, lupus is now secondary, believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? It's all the
Yeah.
other outside stimuli and, all the other stuff that really is exhausting me. I mean, I find, everything exhausting now. People, places, things.
I know, right? That thing about what is energy parasites is a real thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I call
giving all I can give.
yeah, yep. I call them emotional vampires. You can't even go to the store and
Benita, who are you and where do you hail from?
oh, my name is Venita Walker, and I hail from Cromwell, Connecticut. Welcome.
Welcome. All right. So I already read the little summary, which is
Cool.
you can find it wherever I posted the link to come in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, we were trying to, just catch up on whatever we wanted to say from chapter 13. Um, which I think that point about parasites is probably the biggest thing I got out of that section. Um, and then also to talk about the next chapter, which begins part 4, the final part of this book. Um, and I told Gio that I had talked to Nicole and that hopefully she's going to stop by and visit us the week of, I think she said the week of March 11th when she's on spring break.
Yes.
So, all right. Anything else, Gio or Venita, you want to say about chapter 13?
No, not really.
Well, I thought it was interesting that he said the more the historians delve into history, the more they see, "Oh, how in the world did they come up with any of this? It doesn't make any sense."
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that what did he say? There's like two um chaotic, no, he said history is a level 2 chaotic system. So you have
Yeah.
level 1, um where okay, well, let me just read it here. Chaotic systems come in two shapes. Level 1 chaos is chaos that does not react to predictions about it, like weather. And level 2 is chaos that reacts to predictions about it and
Mm-hmm.
therefore can never be predicted accurately, like
Mhm.
economic markets. And I'm like, wow, I should have read this book a long time ago. If he ever, it would
Yeah.
explain a lot of, a lot of things and have mitigated a lot of the reactions that I might have had to world events, right? Because all of, I mean, really, the bottom line that I got from this chapter is that, all of this stuff, how we got to where we are today is random and it's
Mhm.
chaotic.
Mhm.
So, whether you want to explain it by uh, religion or cultural uh,
Mhm.
measurements or even numbers, it still doesn't make any sense.
Mhm. And it's like the concept of self-fulfilling prophecy. Um, and that the mind is so powerful, and that's why I always um, try to take to throw on my rose-colored glasses and try to find a positive lining wherever I can. Um, it's increasingly hard to do, but I just know how powerful the mind is. And once you start telling yourself that something is impossible, it's impossible. It's
Yeah.
impossible. I mean, you literally have to tell yourself that something is possible to find the energy, the will, the insight to take steps toward making it possible. And you still may not win, but you absolutely are not going to win once you have told the mind it's impossible, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what's so scary to me about these times that we're living in. The negative energy is so strong, um that I just don't see it being balanced in a way that is going to help get us to any place positive. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, but I like that description too of the types of chaos. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that brought that section. What was that section called? I don't remember.
Oh,
Section three. Section three called
oh, the unification of humankind.
the unification of humankind. Okay. And so now we're into the world of science. And it starts out on a scary note with a picture of the atomic bomb. Um, I showed Venita, let me share the screen with Venita. I showed Geo this picture that I had seen on Facebook um, a couple of weeks ago. It always seems to me that whatever chapter we're reading, um, I will just somehow come across something on Facebook that just kind of accurately captures for me what we're reading about. And so I was saying to Gio that I find this to be a scary image because it's all these white men plus Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's probably the
He,
only black person they could think of. Um, but yeah, the idea of a world ruled by scientists is not really a comforting one um, for me. I mean, I can see some benefits of being ruled by science versus religion, for example. But I can also see, all the scary shit that that could happen with these guys in charge. So I just wanted you to have that image as we go through this part, as we go through this part of the discussion.
Well, if it's any comfort to you, besides Neil, I see another scientist there that's Jewish. It's this black
was there?
Passing for Jewish, but he black. Nobody told him.
Wait a minute. Let me get back to it.
Yeah.
Who's that?
I'll show you when I get the image back.
Here it is. Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 down on the left-hand side, and then 1 over.
This guy?
Yep. Yeah, he black.
That?
He's trying to pass.
That?
I don't know his name, but if you look at him, he black. He's trying to pass for you. But he black. Somebody didn't tell him. Okay. Blending with the rest of them. But his mother did not tell him that he is black. And he's trying to pass for something else. I'm like, all right.
There was a lot of that going on. And Albert Einstein was Jewish, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Albert was on some crazy. I mean, they all on some crazy. I don't know which would be worse, politicians or scientists. Either way, we're doomed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop.
Hopefully there are more choices than those, right?
Yeah, but science is dangerous anyway, because the person that has control is always the people that have control are the people that have the power, whether it's economic or otherwise. So it doesn't make a difference. You can have a group of housewives, as they say. Okay, they have power. They can become dangerous. It doesn't make a difference. Whoever's in power is you have to possess the most power. For us, it's economically. And even back then, it was economics. For what I'm reading this chapter about Jesus. So, that's loads of power. So anyone can be scary. Absolutely. Any group of people can be scary.
And that's where the expression power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
It does.
That's where that wisdom comes from, because it's right. It's been true forever.
Forever.
Okay. Anything you want to point to? Anybody in this chapter?
Well, one thing I wanted to point to is that because of Christianity and the belief that the wise know everything there is to know, and they would tell all the little peasant people that, if there was any questions about anything ever, that as much as you need to know, death is imminent, face it, recognize, and deal with, and that kept them ignorant for a long time until someone stepped out of that box and said, wait a minute, let me check this out. We don't really have to die this early. You know what I'm saying? We can try to find a way to cure or eradicate some of these diseases, because your chance of survival, period, was like not very good. Again, a mother, they had huge families back then. I don't know what kind of women they had. They don't make them like that today, though. But they was having 14, 20 kids, some outrageous amount. And out of the 14, 20 kids, if you get 5 whole people that may survive to be adults, you were doing good for various reasons.
That queen,
that
he gave the example of, had 16 children.
Yeah.
10 of them didn't make it to adulthood.
And then we don't know about the ones she had miscarriages with, because out of all those children, all those pregnancies, you best believe there might have been a few miscarriages in there somewhere. And then the one that did survive into adulthood, because they want that boy to survive to keep that money going, his wife killed him. I'm like, oh, he made it that far, and she got somebody to kill him. Ooh.
Yeah, Isabella. She said, oh, I'm gonna take this one out. I mean, I should not laugh, but some of the stuff is just so comical. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Thank goodness that we're not ignorant to everything, and we try to explore and learn new things and enter new frontiers.
so that we don't have to be our chance of survival is much greater. And I don't know if that's a good thing, but that's how it is.
Have you ever met anyone with a know-it-all personality?
Oh yeah, I'm surrounded by know-it-alls.
Gio?
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Everybody.
Just
And,
just
and
take the
what
time.
thoughts do you have
Mm-mm.
when you encounter a know-it-all?
Well, I don't try to argue with them because
Number
it
one.
would be futile. I just let them simmer on in their stew of semi-knowledge. But, because and something that runs through this chapter here is that the beginning of knowledge is knowing that you don't know what
It
you
don't.
don't know, right? Knowing that you don't know. And so it encourages you to find out.
Right,
So, hmm.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
what I found interesting was, and I've spoken to you about this many times, because today, of course, that everything is status and and all about how much you know and how much you have. And I always told you when it came to scholars, I don't know why everybody falls all over them. After I've heard what you know, I know what you know now, and I'm all set to go. It's funny how most of the discoveries of different tools and things that could be helpful and useful to society was discovered by the laymen, the regular carpenters, that were the little people, the regular whatever that was the little people. Those are what the discovering. The scholars were so stuck on themselves, so they couldn't see the forest for the trees, and that was quite interesting because I've always felt that way. You know,
Mm.
yeah. And the scholars tell you the same thing over and over again. They're so stuck in their head that they know what's right. They know the ultimate. So their vision is so tunnel. I really have little use for them other than what I can extract from them in that particular area that they know, and I'm done because there's nothing really creative about them. The creative people are the people that work with their hands, that use their minds, really use their mind to figure out different things. So I found that very interesting because so much emphasis is put on the scholar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's always,
it's
I mean, I think it's always the workers. I was just listening to a podcast this afternoon uh by Chris Hedges, who used to write for the New York Times and has done a lot of war reporting. And he was
mm-hmm,
interviewing this woman who was a, a, a business writer. She had been with Forbes and then I think the Washington Post. And they were just talking about the terrible state of affairs in the complete decimation of the local press, and the national press not far behind.
mm-hmm,
Um, and that she said she felt like we're entering a new dark ages, because there's so much that we need to know that we're not going to know because the reporting is not there. It's no longer being supported, much in the way that Harari is talking about, how science gets supported or not supported. But one of the things that she said in her business writing career was that she always avoided talking to the CEOs because they were not the ones that were going to tell you the truth about what was going on. She would go to the low level workers to get the scoop on what was really happening, and that people would call her from within the company when they felt like something was wrong. They would be the ones to call and kind of deep throat the information to her. So yeah, I just think it's like that in probably every industry where it's the people that do the work that really know the most about how that work gets done, what would work, what doesn't work, all of those kinds of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem I have with that is those with uneducated people. Now, this has always been the way it is because we're talking about way, 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 way back. So why haven't we learned from that? These were the people that that made most of the adjustments, but through trial and error and finding new ways to do things were the uneducated, not the scholars. But today in 2024, they go like this to the scholar, and the uneducated people are pushed aside. Which reminds me, when I was a young woman, probably about 20 years old, I work in the business area, and they quite frankly bored me because I don't like the little, water fountain chit chat and the gossip and all this crap. So either I would go out for lunch and go down to the cemetery, which was beautiful, and have my lunch in the summer. It was nice, trees, everything, very quiet and peaceful. Or I would go down to the laundry room, and down the laundry room we had Black women, Polish women, Portuguese women, and they had real skills. I took my suits down there to be tailored because one of the Portuguese women, she was like the best tailor there was. I mean, the CEO took his clothes down there. And I would sit, it was right next to the morgue. And the life lessons, and also intellectually, they're very smart. I learned more from them than I've ever learned from a scholar in my entire life. And to the day, I'm so proud of that. And they were one of the most wonderful people. And I was 20 years old, and I was just, these are mature women. And I would just be sitting down there and just amazed at the things they knew and the skills they had, and just intellectual they are. I mean, the assumption is if you don't have a formal education, that you don't read, that you don't live, that you don't learn. And it's a huge mistake, absolutely. But it just brought me to that when I thought about that. And to the day, even knowing that, we're still stuck on that egotistic scholar knows best. Like doctor knows best. Like people don't question doctors. I will tear a doctor down. I hired you. You need to recognize that. But it's interesting how we have not changed.
Long before there were scholars, there was human curiosity. And we wouldn't have made it through these various evolutions, had humans not been just born with a natural curiosity to try to figure things out. But I was reading this, I was thinking about the that little piece of wisdom, curiosity killed the cat, and how that's a way that we instill in each other. It's not good to ask questions. It's not good to seek information. Just go along with the and the truth is, because I'm such a curious person, there's some truth to that to the cat getting killed, because of curiosity. But it's also true that without that curiosity, we really would be, we'd be wherever we were, thousands and thousands of years ago. It's necessary. And maybe everybody doesn't have the capacity or the stomach for it, or whatever, but some of us have to be curious.
Well, I don't think they don't have, I think that they would like to be curious, but again, we're conditioned. We're conditioned by society, conditioned by your authoritarian families to be able to control you. So you should not ask any questions. You're controlled by your politicians, by your work environment. You're controlled. And a lot of times, of course, you're in the minority. So you are conditioned to keep your mouth shut and do as I say. I haven't met a person yet that isn't curious about something. I don't care who they are. But it depends on, what environment you come from. And it's control.
Right, because children are just, unless they've got some kind of, issue going on, are just naturally curious. They want to know everything.
And so are adults. even after they grow up and they're not children, if they come from those environments and authoritarian backgrounds, they still don't ask questions, not because they're not curious, but they've been conditioned to not ask, just follow suit, which is evident by our political system. And everyone's sitting back, relaxing, lethargic, and meanwhile, we about ready to die in November. Because it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's, I just think everyone is curious, but this society just doesn't allow people without fear, most nowadays of your life, to ask a question. So.
Yeah, but not Harari. That's why we love you, Dr. Harari.
Yeah, this chapter is pretty heavy. There's a lot of stuff in this chapter. It's a lot to think about. I mean, the money they want to allocate, you know, that to do more research with the brain, and you know, eventually maybe have every airport equipped with scanners that's able to recognize anger, hateful thoughts in people's brains. Now, that's scary.
I won't survive that.
No, yeah, but that was just a good example. But in what other areas would they use this technology? That's the scary part for me. Not what I know. If they're using it at the airport, is what I don't know. Where else are they using this technology? Okay. Well, you know, where else would they be using it? And it might not be. It probably won't be to our benefit when they be able to identify all your emotions.
I won't survive that.
Well, yeah, I don't know, Michelle.
He talks in here about by 2050, they may have it worked out so that death is pretty much a thing of the past. Now, I don't imagine that everybody's going to be allowed to live forever, but regardless, I plan to be gone by 2050. So, you know, I just want you to know right now, Venita.
I'm saying, be on a positive note.
No, I ain't trying. That's the thing. You know, a world run by scientists, a world run by AI. I was reading some article about, is AI going to be your boss in the future? You know, it's just getting to be a world I don't want to be in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. You never know. I mean, they do discoveries every day. They discover things you didn't know of. So, you know, chances are you could be here by 2050. Me, you, and Gio.
Well, I don't. Stop saying things like that. Venita just wants to go before I go because she's selfish.
Yep, I am being so selfish, but I'm just, you know, trying to be positive, as you all like my positivity. That we all.
Well, you could be negative about this.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe I mean, you just think about it. Before someone living to 100 was like, oh my goodness. When I was a little girl, even when I was a young woman, now 100 is like 25. I know quite a few people that's 100, and it's just me. You know what I'm saying? And that are not like laying back, playing with their lips either. They're talking to me like me and you. They're watching baseball games. They're reading. You know what I'm saying? So it's so a matter of fact now. People living in 90s and 100s. It's really very common.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon. That's why I'm saying, Michelle, whether you want to be here or not, you might be here in 2050. You too, Gio, because I want to die first. I've already told y'all that. If you have to kill me, that's fine. But I want to die first. I don't want to be none of y'all.
Well, you know, all of this. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Gio. I'm just playing.
No, I was going to say all of this, still, the undercurrent of it is going to be based on what the shared myths of the society will be by the time, you know, all that technology is implemented, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're all supposed to be cooperating according to, you know, how Harari has defined how society got this far is by, you know, believing these shared myths, we're going to have to believe that, oh, the planet can't survive with all of you useless eaters on here. No. So who's going to
Right.
deserve to be, gifted with this, almost eternal life, right?
Right.
Or so,
Well,
and
I'm gonna venture a
I don't
guess,
trust these people.
Gio. It won't be black folk.
Okay, okay, because
Well, you know
here we
what?
are.
You
What?
never know what's going to happen. That's another thing too. The assumption is
Yeah.
for most people that if that does take place, they're going to think about, just automatically it's going to be the wealthy and the young and then this and the that. But history repeats itself. Just like many, many years ago, way back, it was all about waiting for the Messiah to come and this and that, and you know all you need to know. Maybe at that point, wisdom with old people will be revered.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they start dusting off
That
young
would be
people. We
cool.
don't know what's going to happen. At that point, they might have worn their stuff out so much with the BS to at that point, who knows? They may say, you know what? We can do without that middle section here. We can groom that young section, and the elders hold the key because they done seen this world go from this to that to that to this to this to that, and we about tired of the rest of the stuff. Okay, so you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't necessarily have to go by economics because this system is going to fall down. It has no choice. It's held by a thread. And what happens when people don't have any alternatives? They turn to something new, or something that's old then become new again.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know. I'm just trying to be optimistic, ladies.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Good, because I'm having a hard time finding the silver lining in all this technology. The ways that it can go. You got the drones and it just seems like we're quick to come up with ways of destruction,
Oh. Well,
Well, that gets the money.
yeah,
Anyway.
and it's controlled by men, and men are destructive.
Yeah.
Most of the atrocities that happen in this world have been by whom? Okay, so that's super masculinity, ego, BS going on. So that's to be expected. Now, in the future, you never know. In 2050, due to AI, when they start deciding who's going to be worthy and who's not, who's going to live forever, not, maybe they'll decide that we don't even need men. Because maybe a woman will be sitting at the helm, like the wizard.
And there's a difference, Venita, between positive and you have lost your damn mind.
Oh my God.
I would take a little extra medication. Okay. I'll be fine over here. Okay.
There's a difference between positivity and delusion.
Yes, and I know it, but there's a thin line. There's a thin line.
It's a thin line.
You never know it. And to be on that side where, okay, I'm telling you, you never know. But let's move on what Jesus said in
What
in Mark 14, 7. Every time I read that, you wonder why people are atheists. Did you read that? Did you read that, Gio?
Where is it? What page is it?
Page 265.
265.
Yes.
So Gio is about 80 pages ahead of us. So let me see. Let me see what section it's in. Gio, it's in the section called Knowledge is Power.
Okay.
1 second. Put the shade down.
All right.
Or is it knowledge is power, or is it the idea of progress? Let me see. Poverty, where Jesus is talking about poverty. It's in the ideal of progress, that section, Gio.
Okay. Let me find that.
And the sentence starts with, Well, let me read it. Poverty is another case in point. Many cultures have viewed poverty as an inescapable part of this imperfect world. According to the New Testament, shortly before the crucifixion, a woman anointed Christ with precious oil worth 300 denarii. Jesus' disciples scolded the woman for wasting such a huge sum of money instead of giving it to the poor. But Jesus defended her, saying that the poor you will always have with you, and you can help them anytime you want, but you will not always have me. Mark 14:7.
Now,
today, fewer and fewer people, including fewer and fewer Christians, agree with Jesus on this matter. Poverty is increasingly seen as a technical problem amenable to intervention. It's common wisdom that policies based on the latest findings in agronomy, economics, medicine, and sociology can eliminate poverty. But those technologies were not available when Jesus was saying the poor you will always have with you.
well, I kind of saw it a little different because when my children are growing up, both of them, they asked me if there's a God and Jesus did exist, then why is there poverty? This is normal questions that, for me,
Curious children.
They're very curious. I had no answer for it because I'm not religious anyway. I told you that, and I thought it was a good question, and I was honest. I have no idea, but when I read that, now Jesus was supposed to be for the people. I need to do a little more, and I do plan to do some research because I'm very curious about that. Why would he? There will always be poverty or poor, but there's only one of me. That sounds a little egotistic, narcissistic. Like I'm confused. I'm very confused. Now I know they didn't have technology and things that, but Jesus, lost his life for our sin. But I'm a little confused by that. But somebody that knows more about the Bible needs to explain that to me because it's not setting too well. Maybe I'm only
no, I'm a Bible scholar, but you have to call into question a document that was cobbled together 300 years after the death of the main character by several different people of questionable origin.
Right.
And then, edited by other people in power who needed to promote certain ideas in the community. So,
and that's true. But also, did he say it?
Okay, now.
See, that's the part that I don't get. Now I understand that everything has been, as it goes along, it's like gossip. It starts out here and ends up there. But did he say it? That's the question.
Yes.
Okay. And that's a problem.
And we don't really know.
Yeah, we don't. We don't
really know if a bunch of rabid old white folk raided the Capitol on January 6th.
Don't say that. You got to take it far, Michelle.
We have video evidence of that. We have empirical knowledge.
Yes, we do.
And my point is, if we are being told not to believe a lying eye, how are we ever going to know what happened, what Jesus said 2,000 years ago?
Or if it was Jesus, that's always been my. If there was a Jesus,
right?
Right. I haven't seen any pictures of him.
Right.
I've seen art.
There are competing pictures of him.
Right.
But in some pictures, he's blonde or, white skin. In other pictures, he's black skin.
it's just a lot of questions that come to mind. Was there really a Jesus? Number one, was that made up? Because remember, alcohol was invented before the wheel, and they couldn't control the proof.
Okay.
So that's always been that way I felt. Even the Last Supper, you know. And so that's when I'm just throwing it out there, you know.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there. So that was always my thing. It was everybody getting high.
And we don't know if he really existed. We don't know if he really said this particular thing.
That's true.
But if he said it, if he existed and he said it, then the only thing that occurs to me is what I said before. They were nowhere. If you consider that this concept of it's only been the last 500 years, so Jesus lived over 2,000 years ago, and it's only been the last 500 years that humans have started to accept this idea. This is in a section called the ideal of progress. That before that, nobody believed, that real progress could be made in any substantive way,
And they believed in anything. You could tell them anything. Anything. So again, it just piques my curiosity. I mean, just like now, just like January 6th. They're trying to convince us.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that Harari is kind of getting at is, so how do you hold a society together? When all the myths have been shattered, and so I was thinking about that question, and it seemed to me that maybe collective goals, if there were a way for us to have shared goals instead of shared myths, it might give us a common interest that didn't require all of this mythology. Of course, I know it's a pipe dream, for us to have shared goals, but the truth is the myths are crumbling, before our very eyes, and and I'm sure that that's a part of why society feels so destabilized these days. There's so many different beliefs going on, and so much disillusionment going on, and we don't know what to believe, and we don't know what's fake news and what's real news. And we're in a funky place, but common goals might give us something to rally around, and it might, I mean, you would think that the goal of we're killing the earth, the very home that we are dependent on, you would think that would be enough to have people stop and say, okay, we got to get focused on this thing here. But it doesn't, that doesn't seem to be doing it. So I don't know, maybe we need aliens attacking us. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Capitalism has a lot to do with that, because I was a little girl, we did care about the earth. Where I was from, when my godparents, 70% of my time in Center City, Black, white, gay, heterosexuals, you name it. And we cared about the earth. Dare not throw a piece of paper down. But capitalism took over, make you think you could do whatever you want to do, depending on who you are, how much money you have, what your zip code is. And if you don't like it, you could change. You go out there and get you a doctorate, a PhD, and you can move to another zip code. And once you start having that, that's when it changed. But no, there were common goals. Among all the chaos still, in the 60s,
Mm.
there was a common goal. No one threw garbage down the street. If you dropped anything in the street, black or white, pick that up. You know, you didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So there was common goals at one point.
Right. And it wasn't because you were going to go to hell,
And
you
nothing
know.
nothing to do with nothing. It was just that this is our earth. This is your street. Whether you're downtown Philadelphia, whether you're on a side street, you could eat off the ground. As a matter of fact, they had street cleaners that came by every week. And people got out and made sure that their steps and all their concrete, maybe had one tree to mark their spot, was clean. And that was black, white, or otherwise. Because even when I was in South Philadelphia with my mom, our neighborhood was very diverse. We had Italians, black, Asian, you name it, they were there. Interracial people, you name it, everybody was there. And it was the same way. Mm-hmm. And you did have some economic differences. You were all still working class per se, but there were folks that made little, because you have 3 levels of poor. You got poor, high, poor, medium, poor, low. That's the way the white folks got it set up. So you had different people still making different money. But their goals were still common. Mm-hmm. Think about that one. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we can't. It's just that we've been stimulated so much by capitalism. Mm-hmm. And everybody wants to make sure that they're not at the bottom now. So, you know, that can never happen again. Once something's introduced into our brain, into our minds, into our souls, it's there. And too many times it's passed by.
You know, as you said, this economy is falling apart, you know.
And it's falling apart. It's falling apart.
You know, so I mean, I think we are going to hit a rock bottom. Where we have an opportunity, you know, to make some different choices. You know, I'm not optimistic enough to say that those will be good choices. And as our writer is pointing out here, you know, it's really impossible to predict what the outcome will be of the choices that you're making in real time.
Ever.
But the way our society is falling apart, you know, we're gonna reach a point. We have to reach a point where we start to say, all right, look, let's try something different. You know, it may not be good, it may not work out, but what we have is not working. You know.
Yeah. And that will come for some, for sure. Because it's something's always going to come for the people that are awake.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually living on this earth.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll see what goes on. Well, I won't see. Well, we don't know, because you can live to your 2050, Michelle. So you might be around for that.
Are you going to live to 2050?
Wow. Well, wow. Just thinking about those ideas you brought up about the earth and our inability to really value and work together to preserve, you know, the planet we live on, and how capitalism, or just really just greedy people who profit from things that destroy the planet, right? Destroy human beings, animals, plants, being able to live a healthy life, a healthy existence, and how even the so-called carbon tax, you know, it's a joke. Oh my goodness. And that's supposed to, you know, resolve or quiet the people who are clamoring for clean air, clean water, clean, you know, unadulterated food. How do we break this deadly triangle that links these things together? and prevents us from moving past, right, to really evolving. We can't depend on science because it's linked with these other things.
Mm-hmm.
You can't depend on, the mythology of economics and the mythology of these different religions to help us move past this point where we are stuck because you can't eat money, right? You can't eat that island you're on that you were able to buy because you misappropriated funds from people who could least afford to lose, their their finances.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So what will push us past this point that we seem to be stuck in this loop?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we
You
have
didn't
something has to break the myth
you
of.
didn't you didn't like
Hmm.
my idea about aliens?
Oh, sure, but they're even co-opting that, right? Because we have, if you read this CIA files, thanks to the FOIA Act, they have Project Bluebeam, where, there was this project they thought of, well, we can project, the Jesus, the second coming down and use their religious beliefs against them, or we could use aliens.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
to make them all afraid because thanks to the Brookings report, they knew that um, because of the strong religious belief systems on the planet, that even to divulge what they knew already at that time would cause us, they believed, a societal breakdown. Well, doggone it, of course, because you trained us this way. if you
Right.
if you want a different result, you have to find a different approach to it all. And so
Mm-hmm.
we still have these competing forces. Who does it benefit, right? To have complete disclosure uh about other things that are in the
Mm-hmm.
universe or other universes, right? We have,
Mm-hmm.
who does it benefit to represent the knowledge that we do have because we have these systems of control. If we
Right.
are not under control, what possible positive evolution could the human race achieve? Homo sapiens achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is restricted by some kind of control system. So, what is it that we could really possibly do on the planet, in the universe, if we didn't have these ideas, these shared myths that keep us bound to believing up to a certain point and then no more? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can't. The idea, I'm thinking about the movie Zeitgeist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, where the guy proposes, why are we enslaved to this money system, this fiat currency that's based on nothing, an idea or fear of, right? Basically, supported by military systems. And our belief of we can't survive without this representation of wealth, and we must work for it. And what we work, how hard we work for it, is determined by someone else on a different level, right? The importance
Mm-hmm.
of the work you do. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it requires a whole transformation of how we think about who we are, how,
Yeah.
you know, what are we here existing, not just in our, little, or yeah, our little small communities, but in the larger community of the universe. What are we doing here? Why? Answer that question, and perhaps we can get beyond, these control forces of control that keep us constrained and in the dark room with a tiny candle that's subject to blow out at any moment.
Well, Gio, I want to admit ignorance and say that really we don't know why we're here. But that is a question that has, been with mankind probably from the beginning. And that is the space into which religions step. This is when a religion or a Donald Trump or or a cult leader, same difference. Those are the spaces that people like that come into to say, well, I do have the answers. So all you have to do is follow me, you know. But I think but I think that a piece of the key of it is to be able to acknowledge our ignorance, so that however I could answer that question, it is an answer for me. It is not an answer for you, and that we all have to get comfortable with that, looking inside ourselves for answers that make sense to us, and stop looking outside for this all-knowing leader. One of the things that really bothered me, I'm sure I've talked about it before, was after King was killed, and all of the assassinations that went on during that era. And I would say, as I was coming into young adulthood, my early 80s or so, I was looking at the Black community like, okay, well, yeah, that was some scary, tragic shit that went down. But we and maybe I'm just thinking, maybe I had this perspective because I was 19 when my father passed, and I was really about the only one that I knew at that age, in my age range, who had experienced the death of a parent. But so it got me thinking about death a lot. And and I was very close with my dad. Everybody in the world knows I'm the quintessential daddy's girl. But what allowed me to kind of keep going was when I thought about what my father would want for me. He would not want me to lay down and die because he died. He would want me to keep going. And so I was kind of looking at the Black community like that. Yeah, we've suffered, tremendous losses. But what did Malcolm want for us? What did Martin want for us? What did Medgar want for us? And I kept hearing people in the Black community saying, we need new leadership. And I was like, I think maybe if what the white man has figured out is that you kill the leader, you kill the movement, then we're done. It's toast. It's over. The only way to fight, to me, the only way to fight that strategy of killing off our leaders is for them to understand, we don't care who you kill, we're going to keep coming. Because we are all leaders, of ourselves, of our own behavior, and it's very hard to control. That's why, Venita mentions this technology they're working on of trying to scan, your thoughts. which, you know, George Orwell told us that we were going that way.
Yes, indeed.
And, you know, and so they're close to it, or maybe they're there already, you know. But until that really happens, then right now what we have is the ability to control ourselves and our own behavior, and that's all we have. That's all we have, because we can't make nobody do nothing. You know, we can't make the white man love us. You know, we can't make him stop being hateful. You know, you know. So yeah, that to me is what is where humanity has gone so wrong. We have relied on leadership that I think in the past had more integrity than it does today. And even with that, we see the myths and the lies and the confusion that came out of, you know, a lot of people who may have even been well-meaning.
Yeah.
As long as you have humans, as long as we had humans, there's always going to be differences of thoughts and opinions and how things should be done. So I don't know about us ever coming together for a common goal, because we really never have, unless it was by force. You were forced to do it in a kingdom with a ruler. You know, and they had a common goal to survive. So therefore they had to abide by in the kingdom with the ruler. As many of us are doing today, whether you think we're free thinkers or not. Not really. Not really. So it's never gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be different. And AI is really frightening me anyway. It's very frightening. That's the next ruler. We had kings, we had queens. One of them wouldn't even die in England. She's 119. But anyway, we got all these things going on, and it's just like, it's just the next ruler is going to be AI. And AI is going to end up destroying mankind, period. And probably not intentionally. It's going to be unintentionally, but I think that's what's going to happen. It's not going to be the big poof. It's going to be AI unintentionally. It's going to outsmart the humans that program them. And it's going to be a problem. Because we have malfunctions in just regular household appliances that can cause you grief. And I think that's
these damn what, the e-bike, the batteries, the
I'm just talking about exactly what you're talking about. Blowing up. Yeah. That's a fire.
I have a let me show you all. I have a it's called a power bank. So when you're out in the streets, if your phone you know, loses its charge,
right,
you can plug into this power bank and recharge your phone. But on the back, and I had to write it in large letters so I wouldn't forget, the directions tell you it's forbidden on passenger airplanes. Well, why is that? Because like these e-bikes and everything that they're telling you just spontaneously, you know, catch fire. So if you know you got some shit like this, why do you keep creating it.
They make money the same way they create drugs. And they say you take these drugs, it'll help with your high blood pressure, but hell, it may send you blind, your heart's gonna stop beating, your head's gonna fall off, your ass is gonna drop out. But don't worry about that. The benefits will outweigh your asshole dropping out. Don't worry about it. Your heart stop beating and won't make a difference. But until that happens, you understand?
Until that happens.
Don't worry about it. And make sure you get refills from your doctor. So you're going to be taking
That's right. 90-day prescription.
Live. Okay, for as long as you shall live until it kills your ass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, audience. If you hear these things, this is the way I always talk to myself. I'm not even going to try to lie, make an excuse. I live in the truth.
That's
this is
all right.
Yeah.
This is who
No,
I
but you were making the point, Venita, that technology is going to be our leader in the future.
That's it.
And
don't worry about the
it's
people.
going to inadvertently take us out.
Don't worry about the people. Don't worry about uniting the people. There's no need, because what happened was, if we were going to stop the progression of all the bullshit that's going on, we would have done that, need to have gathered together and had a common goal 35, 40 years ago.
Or longer. Yeah.
Or longer. But actually, more technology has been perfected and designed than any other time in the last 40 years, 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
There had technology before. We had large, massive computers, big brains in banks and other industries. But the bulk of it has happened in the last, I would say, 30 years. So if we were going to come together and do the kumbaya and get to a common goal, it'd have been then. Now it's too late. It's the same with Oppenheimer.
And on that,
late until it killed up all the Japanese.
Right.
I mean, so it's
and why didn't we learn from that? But on that point of the last 30, 40 years, that was one of the questions for me during this chapter. So how are people coping? How are we coping with this rapid pace of change that our generation has lived through?
Ask Jill. She just told you she was tired, mentally and physically worn out from all the stimuli. Didn't I just tell you that? That's how we're faring. We're not faring. We're not making it. It's affecting our health. It's affecting our well-being. It's affecting our sense of security. It's affecting everything about us. We're not making it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it would be one thing if our lives were better, right? If we could see, less homelessness. The food is cleaner. The water is cleaner. But instead, it's like the same and worse. I mean, how many times am I going to read another article or watch a video about the growing neo-Nazi movement and them grooming children in America? Oh, God. Why are you still blaming everything that's wrong with your life on the color of my skin? Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. It's or whether somebody wants to have two moms or two dads. What's it got to do with you?
Oh, I wanted to show you something since you mentioned that. I gave all my little people, my little grand people and everything, I gave them all little beanie babies for Valentine's Day, along with even my little white adopted little grandchildren, Black History things. He got Black History too.
Cool.
His name is Keller. I love him. He's fabulous in every way. And he got a beanie baby and a Black History book. I gave him one on I forgot the sports person, and all the Black History stickers along with goodies. So everybody gonna learn about everything.
All right.
And this is I keeping him home.
Oh, it's a peace bear.
It's a peace bear, and it is the rainbow colors. Do you see what it is?
I see it now. All right.
Isn't he cute?
Adorable.
I'm sorry to be distracted, but when you said that, I thought of that. Isn't he adorable?
Yes, we need
He's
some lightning,
adorable.
some
Does
love,
he
and
have a
that's what it is.
name?
I haven't named him yet. He's so cute. And he really is cute. And I have to give him a name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he has gay pride bow on. And his
All
peace sign has
right.
all the gay pride color. And he
Yeah.
is as cute as a button. So I keep him right here with me.
That's right. No, that's
But when he said, yeah, so that's what I did for Valentine's Day for all my little people. I gave them nice Valentine's Day bags with all kinds of stuff in it. Everybody got a baby, and Black History, because it all went together. So all my little grandchildren and adopted grandchildren, Black, white, or otherwise, got Black History Moment education.
all right. That's
All
right.
right.
I gave her Black History magnets and Black History books, and they are Black History up. So
All
that's where I'm
right.
going to start right now. That's why I know, really, I can only control my little circle. And I do have little adopted grandbabies, you know, the ones you've known for years, their mothers, and yep,
Yeah.
and they're all like between 6 and 8 or 5 and 8. So, and Jess was thrilled. She said, oh my goodness, because Keller loves me. Oh, the Black History book and all the Black History magnet. That's the way you got to start. You have to start with them so that they don't have that same ignorance you was just talking about.
That's right.
And their parents are cool anyway, but you know, for them to be able to be around a Black person or Black people all the time in life since they were born, to know how we move. You understand what I'm saying? To know about our history. That's how you can eradicate the ignorance.
Yeah.
And the rest of them just got to die. I don't know how. Maybe AI, maybe AI take them out. You know what I'm saying?
Gio, are we going to end on a positive word from Venita?
I think so. I think we've done it.
Yeah. I don't know what's coming over me. I really don't.
I don't either.
I've been, you know, usually I'm the opposing view, and I'm just changing so much. And it's just all, I don't know what to do, Gio. I'm going through something, Michelle.
It must be menopause.
Accept, embrace.
You see what I'm saying? Here she comes. It must be menopause. Late menopause. That's about 15 years too late. You never know what's going on. But I am trying to be a very positive, not toxic positivity, but one that is still living the truth. And I think that's where we should start. We should stop worrying about all the other people. They ain't going nowhere. All the Trumpers, the makeup people. Oh, he got some new sneakers out. Girl, you got to get your pay.
Saw that. Oh my God.
The gold.
They gonna sell out. Ain't gonna be none left.
but I died. I just died. I was like, you know, not only is he a used car salesman, I mean, it was, I just died. I didn't know I just laughed. I'm like, you know, Trump, he is a music, if nothing else.
What would be more appropriate if he became a spokesman for his own adult diapers? Okay, that would be more practical. I'm just throwing it out there.
Now, see, Gio, I was trying to end on a positive note. I was just
show the beanie baby. Show the beanie baby, right? Don't forget. Okay.
Bye.
I love you, ladies.
And I love you. Have a good night. I'll see you next week.
Reading our story together.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.